Time for this weekend's live picks. Now, the first pick is bittersweet. I'm talking about the arts festival by the Substation, whose imminent permanent closure made headlines this week.
So just when it's finally back after a 6-year hiatus, this edition of SeptFest could be the Substation's last. And as you can tell from its name, SeptFest is usually held in September to commemorate the Substation's anniversary on September the 16th.
Journalist Toh Wen Li joins us to share more. Wen Li, SeptFest returns after 6 years. And this year also marks the 31st anniversary of the Substation. On top of that, we don't know if it will, ever come around again. With all these elements, this year's festival feels more meaningful, so to speak. So are there any special performances to commemorate the occasion?
Yeah, so as you know, this is the last SeptFest. The Substation recently announced its plans to close permanently after vacating its premises on 45 Armenian Street. In terms of highlights, well, there is a multidisciplinary immersive experience called The Last Chapter, which pays homage to the Substation's history and is curated by artist Lim Chin Huat and takes place in different parts of the building. So essentially, various characters will get visitors to rediscover the Substation's nooks and crannies and find out more about stories and histories. So SeptFest itself happens from today, March the 4th to March 28th. It's a month-long festival and there'll be lots of things to look forward to.
Right. Speaking of things to look forward to, this year's theme is called In the Margins, and it covers the marginalized, displaced and forgotten communities who are often out of sight. So Wen Li, what kind of performances and exhibitions will patrons get to see under this theme?
Yeah, so there'll be theatre, there'll be dance, spoken word, exhibitions by emerging as well as more established artists. Unfortunately, virtually all the ticketed shows are sold out, but there are wait lists. So if you're interested, you can also stay tuned, sign up for the wait list, and they'll keep you posted. There are 2 exhibitions which are free of charge and non-ticketed, and these will be happening in the Substation's gallery. The first one is Project Orang Asli, which features works by artists, including the acclaimed Zai Kuning. Zai has been documenting the life and rituals of the Orang Asli and is presenting his works in the gallery. So there'll be photos, video documentation, and writing. And there will also be another exhibition in the gallery called the Migrant Workers Community Museum, which is essentially an attempt to gather some artifacts contributed by migrant workers in Singapore. So it brings together this working group of migrant workers, artists, and activists. So yeah, definitely worth heading down, even if you don't get a chance to see the ticketed performances. It'd be good to make a trip down to the Substation before it closes for good later this year.
Well, we appreciate your time, Wen Li. SeptFest starts today and will run for 4 weeks until March the 28th. As we mentioned earlier, this could be the last one, so do make it a point to catch it this month.
In a review already on the Straits Times' website, journalist Jan Lee says new Korean drama How to Be 30 is a great way to unwind over a quick dinner because each episode is only about 20 minutes.
That's quick.
So besides the snappy pacing, tell us more about this one, Jan. It seems to have gone under the radar quite a little bit.
Yes, so it's actually a series in South Korea that is aired online. It's on Kakao. So it's a web series. That's why it's so short. It's not aired on broadcast, if I'm not wrong. So it's on iQIYI in Singapore. I think that's why it's gone under the radar a little bit. But Honey, EXID, girl group EXID's Honey is in it. And Honey's pretty popular. So there is some traction amongst K-pop fans. The male lead is also CN Blues drummer Kang Min Hyuk. So, amongst K-pop fans, there's some knowledge of it, but I wouldn't say that it's widely known, which is why I thought I would introduce it.
So Jan, what is the series about actually? I think judging by the title, I can guess that it's about people in their 30s?
In that mode, of women in their 30s navigating their life, their relationships and their careers, So it sounds a bit like Sex and the City in that mode, but I would say it's quite different from previous this type of dramas with women in their 30s. It's actually 2 of the women quite obviously don't have a lot of experience in romance. One of them was with the same guy for 9 years. These are the characters. One of them sort of focused on her career, got really successful, and then just sort of never really had anything in the guy's department. Yeah, and then the other one is the heartbreaker character who, has had her fair share of men. So it's quite interesting and refreshing in that sense. And it's actually pretty, like I think the male leads are quite charming, if I might say so myself, which is why I'm always attracted to K-dramas. But yeah, I thought in this series, there's a new guy, up-and-comer, rookie, Baek Sang-choo, and he's very, very cute. So...
And you know, Jen, you mentioned it earlier as well, and even in our interviews with you previously as well, that you like to recommend shows which are a little under the radar. Likewise for this one as well. And you know, because it's snappy, it's very succinct, 20 minutes, would you recommend then this drama for those who want to jump on the bandwagon, the K-drama bandwagon?
Yes, definitely. If you are new to like K-drama romances, this is a really good entry point, because K-dramas can often feel very demanding of your time, because you like log on to say Netflix or View, or you tune into TV, and one episode is like 30 minutes. So like as a total newcomer, you're just like, do I want to devote this much of my time to a K-drama? Like, I'm not even sure if it's good, right? And it can be quite a challenge in that sense. But this one is only like 20 minutes per episode. So if you watch one episode and you're like, I'm not into it, then you can just not watch it again. But like if you're into it, you can kind of keep on watching, and the momentum is it's pretty fast paced, and it gives you a good idea of how K-drama construct romances, which is like, you know, there's always the cute guy, and then there's always like maybe a second male lead who pops up, who is also alluring in his own right, but you don't know whether he will get the girl, you know. So there's like some tropes in there that are pretty like well trodden. There's also the older woman with younger men, which is like a pretty popular K-drama romance trope in recent years. So if you're like new to it, you can just hop on, see whether you're into that. I think it can be a pretty good entry point for like total novices.
Well, thanks very much, Jan. That was journalist Jan Lee telling us all about a binge-worthy K-drama, How to Be 30. You can watch this 15-part series on online video platform ITE. New episodes drop every Tuesday and Saturday.
Now let's go straight to journalist Anjali Raguraman. She's going to share more on Miss Fitz and Roxy, both at the sale in Marina Bay. Anjali, we know Miss Fitz as a great place for Mediterranean fare. Perhaps less known is Roxy, the bar hidden in Miss Fitz. Now it's reopening next Wednesday, March the 10th. What's the draw of such a concept? You know, a speak easy inside a restaurant. Wouldn't it be the same if I were to just go to a restaurant that serves drinks as well?
Well, it's not quite the same, because while Roxy is within Misfits, the vibe is completely different. Like, one is a airy, spacious, open air space with like Mediterranean food, and it's really bright. And then Roxy is hidden away, and it's much smaller. It's like a seedy little backstage bar with like red lighting, and you can only fit in like 8 or 10 people at a time. So I quite like this idea of being in one location but making a night of it. You know, you don't even, without having to travel. So this is especially given the 10:30 p.m. curfew we have. So you gotta, you start dinner early, and then you have your dinner, and then you move over to Roxy, which is, like I said, hidden away. You feel like you're in a completely different space without having to hop in a cab and go to some other bar. So, like you mentioned, Mediterranean food, right? So Misfit, it has all the cool stuff from the Italian, Spanish, and Greek region. It's a very streamlined Mediterranean menu. But then when you go to Roxy as well, it's like cocktails and bar snacks inspired by New York, stuff from New York.
Yeah, so Anjali, on that point, you are the cocktails connoisseur among us. So what are your top recommendations at Roxy?
Oh, Roxy is brilliant. It's like all my favorite things, from like the glam rock playlist to the drinks named after like David Bowie and the Police songs. So yeah, one of my favorite drinks is the Negroni. They call it You Don't Have to Put on the Red Light, which is named after the Police song Roxanne. Mm-hmm. And there's also Jean Genie, which is named after the David Bowie song. It's a twist on a daiquiri, which is a rum-based cocktail. This version comes with a little twist that is pear brandy in the mix as well, and the whole rim of the glass is dipped in powdered icing sugar. Yeah, so it's a bit sticky to the touch, but it looks cool and it makes it taste pretty great as well. There's bagel popcorn, like popcorn that is coated in bagel seasoning, and then there's a Cat's Deli pastrami sandwich, which is inspired by Cat's Deli, of course. So yeah, as you mentioned, it's open from 10th March next week, and I think you're going to see me there quite a bit.
Well, thanks as always, Anjali, for coming on the show. We've been speaking with Anjali Raguraman, journalist at the Straits Times Live Desk.
Check out the Friday pages in tomorrow's live sections for more ideas on what you can do during your weekends.
That's right.